an article was put out a couple of days ago about a possible fight between Keith Thurman and Erislandy Lara. Would you have ever like thought that? Now, I've met both of these fighters in person. I was at Erislandy Lara versus, get off the screen, Ryan Garcia. I was at Erislandy Lara versus Terrell Goucher. And I was at Keith Thurman and Demirezen Garcia, where Angel Garcia was called a racist bigot because he called Keith Thurman a bitch ass nigga, not nigger, nigga. And in Philadelphia, I don't make the rules. In Philadelphia, New York, and like other places where Puerto Ricans reside, for some reason, I don't make the rules. And I grew up with the Puerto Ricans. They get to say nigga. All right? So people were looking at Angel Garcia like, yo, like you just called him a nigger. You racist piece of shit. And then he got muzzled for a little while, for he couldn't do interviews and shit. They tried to ban him from being in Danny Garcia corner. But he ain't no racist. He's just racially insensitive. That's pretty much what it is. But anyway, this article came out. Thurman considers catchweight fight with Lara, expects to return in October. Boy, they're trying to make October and November, they're trying to make like it busy. And remember, he fought Mario Barrios on pay-per-view. So if he fight Erislandy Lara, you damn well know it's going to be on pay-per-view. Now, here's who's supposed to return all in that October, November, December lineup. And I'm talking about the possible pay-per-views. Let's see here. Okay. So you got Spence versus Crawford, whenever the hell that's going to happen. Deontay Wilder versus Robert Helenius, whenever the hell that's going to happen. Tank Davis, his next fight's going to be pay-per-view. They want to do Thurman versus Lara. Who else? It's another pay-per-view that's supposed to be cooking. Remind me. And then, of course, September the 4th, they're having a press conference tomorrow. You're going to have Andy Ruiz taking on Luis Ortiz on pay-per-view. I like that fight, to be honest. But, and then for August, Showtime has Jake Paul and Hasim Rahman on pay-per-view. So these pay-per-views in this economy, like they fucking people up. Did you see how high chicken is? How high beef is? Bread, mayonnaise. Mayonnaise is high as shit. Eggs. Obviously the gas, and we're supposed to be happy that gas is now what? Here in PA, about an average of $4.60 a gallon. Yeah, Canelo in September. They out here tripping with these pay-per-views, bro. Tripping. So currently, Erislandy Lara is the 160-pound WBA world champion. So he's competing right now actively at 160 pounds. The WBA has ordered, this was today or yesterday, the WBA has ordered Golovkin, if he wins, whatever happens between him and Canelo, he's got to fight Erislandy Lara to unify those WBA belts at 160. So that's already been ordered. Erislandy Lara, 29-3-3 with 17 KOs. He's listed at 39 years old, but he's one of those young Cubanos. So, which means he probably really 44. And I say this all the time. Fucking damn toe fungus. Get out of here. And I say this all the time. Erislandy Lara's been around forever. He has been on Knockout Kings. Wasn't he on Knockout Kings 1 on PlayStation 1? Like this dude, seriously, wasn't most of you kids when he, started boxing? How long ago was Carlos Molina and Paul Williams, bro? This dude, let me tell you something. I think he's like a vampire or some shit. I get real superstitious, but bro, Lara's been around for a long ass time. I was at least, this was before I went to college when I started watching Erislandy Lara. I'm 38 now. So I've been watching him. He was on HBO 20 years ago. And look what he's been doing. It gets ugly. It gets real, real ugly. Look what he's been doing. I covered this fight. He fought Spike O'Sullivan. on the undercard of Tank Davis versus Rolly, knocked him out. It is no way that fight should have ever been happening, bro. Thomas Lamana, Greg Vendetti, Canelo's balding Widow Peak brother, Ramon Alvarez. He got revenge. The Brian Castano fight was a big, significant fight. Really, ain't nobody really give a fuck about that fight at the time. But it's a fight that aged well. Jared Swift Hurt was like fucking 250 pounds. He just straight, like, walked through Erislandy Lara, fucked him up. All that jab, straight shit didn't work. Terrell Goucher, I was there. People started walking out, bro. It was nasty. That's one of the only Barclays Center fights where they didn't have a post-fight press conference. They was like, you know what, everybody just get the fuck out. Go home. Yuri Foreman, this was PBC. And you want to know another thing about, an interesting fact about Erislandy Lara? He was so bad and stunk it up so bad. Do you know he was the last fight for PBC on Spike TV? After his fight with Yuri Foreman, PBC on Spike was like, you know what, that's it, we're done. You know, fuck this shit, get off our network. Venus Martirosyan rematch, that came way too late. Jan Zavek, that was the last fight for PBC on ESPN. They had beach shares and shit out there. That's like, you know what? Get him the fuck out of here. We're done with you as an organization. We're done. Ishe Smith, he ain't really do shit since he fought Canelo. But guess what? I would love to see him versus Keith Thurman. But can they work out a weight, though? Here's what Keith Thurman had to say about a catch weight. Let's see. All right, this is from Jake Donovan. Let me go do a little bit of reading Rainbow for you guys. Excuse me. Keith Thurman had a vision of an active year that would end with his becoming a 3-time champion. As we creep deeper into the summer, it's become apparent that the 3-fight 2022 campaign could be limited to just 2 fights. There is a shot, however, at fighting for at least a secondary title in the lieu of re-entering the welterweight championship mix. The former WBA, WBC welterweight champ is still sorting through several possibilities for his next fight, which he expects to come in October. A welterweight fight is obviously the preference, but he's also considering a move up in weight only for one night. The target would be Erislandy Lara, former junior middleweight titleist, who currently holds the WBA world middleweight title. The talented Cuban boxer previously dropped Thurman's name as a potential future challenger, something that the career-long welterweight is willing to entertain as he awaits a firm update on the next ring adventure. All right, I'm going to try to read this in Keith Thurman's voice. If the right fight manifests itself in the upper divisions, I will consider it, Thurman told BoxingScene.com, specifying Lara for such a fight. It's funny, all this time I thought Erislandy Lara was still in the 154-pound division until someone explained to me that he's at 160. That's why they said he'd fight me at a catchweight. We haven't seen many fighters in history moving up from 147 to 160 and were successful. Taking on historic challenges entices me more. So what weight would it be at, though? The possibility of such fight comes only as Thurman, 30-1 with 22 KOs, one no decision. Where did that no decision come from? Awaits a firm update on the possibility of Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford super fight for the undisputed welterweight championship. Such a fight has become the talk of the sport, though coming at the minor inconvenience of welterweight contenders waiting for their shot at the division's top prize. I think that would happen, though. I think I said that before, that if Spence versus Crawford doesn't happen, then we likely would see Spence versus Thurman, because they've been really building that for years, or Spence versus Crawford. I think that, though. I think that. But what weight, though? The welterweight belts are tied up. Even for whatever reason, Spence Crawford don't meet later this year, although an indication is already done. It's already done and just awaiting a firm fight date. All right, well, we already thought that. So basically, same thing. I've always thought that, and I still think that Crawford Spence is done. They're just waiting, to get all the particulars and everything together. Don't be surprised if they try to pump that out around, and have it done before Jake Paul and Hasim Rahman step in the ring. Thurman has not weighed more than 152 pounds in 15 years as a pro, and prepared to go even a few more pounds for the sake of answering the call out of a fighter eager to land a big name while in the twilight of his career. That's what it sounds like. We know he's toward the end of his career. I'm not saying his fight will be the last one, but definitely wants to go out with a name. Acknowledges Thurman. He's someone I've known for many years. I've admired his boxing skills. I don't assume, but if we do try to assume, it seemed like he wants to go out with a valid list of names before it's too late. So what Catchweight, listen, now Lara, in my opinion, is a smaller 160 pounder. I wouldn't be surprised if Lara never weighed in more than 165, you know, going into the ring on any given fight. Let's go look at his weights for what he's weighed in. You know, he's not a big guy at all. He doesn't seem like a guy that goes into the ring, you know, rehydrating more than 10 pounds. Just my personal opinion. Canelo at 155. So big, you know, okay, he's weighted at 156 and a half. Against Ronald Hearns, of all people. $158 at his debut. So, I mean, you know, he does have the height advantage, the reach advantage. But one thing, if you haven't noticed about Lara over the last several years now, his legs, like he slowed down a lot. Like, dude ain't what he used to be. You know, he gets touched up now, which makes his fights more exciting because he has to let his hands go. But the thing is, he's a very accurate puncher, and still he would be the bigger fighter. 5'9", a 75-inch reach. He do got some long ass arms. Keith Thurman, I've met. He's a legit 5'7". He ain't no. You see how this shit got him listed at 5'9 and a half, bro. Keith Thurman is not no 5'9 and a half. Trust me. 69-inch reach. But I would give Thurman a chance. You know why? Because what have we seen Keith Thurman's problem is if you punch him in the stomach, Lara don't go to the body. So even though Keith Thurman would have to play the pressure fighter, I'm not sure if he can outbox the bigger, longer, and that's really significant, the longer Keith Thurman. I mean, Erislandy Lara. You know, Thurman would have to play the pressure fighter and a counter puncher, and would require some lunging because Erislandy Lara is not no slouch defensively, you know? But if they were to do the fight, would you entertain it on pay-per-view? I think, listen, I would entertain it. If it's Thurman going up to 160, but you know what'll happen though? What if Thurman wins? You know what's going to happen? He will be Golovkin's mandatory, and we know that ain't going to happen. We know we ain't going to see it happen because the WBA, if I said it earlier, but they've ordered Golovkin and Lara to fight to unify those WBA belts after Canelo Golovkin 3, September the 17th. But it's definite that Thurman needs to stay active because every time he's supposed to have this get back year, you know, he goes on these long layoffs. And it's mostly because I do believe that PBC just don't have the dates. You know, Mario Barrios, you know, that was in February of this year. But then, you know, the Manny Pacquiao fight, you know, that was what? He was on a 2+ year layoff. Jose Zito Lopez, you know, he did have a 2-fight 2019, 1 fight 2017, 1 fight 2016. So his fights are like significant fights. And I did, you know, like the Barrios fight. I did kind of rate that. But it's clear that he doesn't want to fight Boots Ennis, though, that's for sure. He don't want that. Kind of like when he was trying to get Robert Guerrero before he eventually got him, and guys like Paulie Malignaggi. I think he feels like the same, you know, to where he don't want to have a young buck try to make their name off of him. Because let's face it, at 147, listen, who's he going to fight? It's got to be Boots Ennis, Virgil Ortiz. If he's not going to get Spencer Crawford, it's got to be Boots Ennis, Virgil Ortiz, Stan Ionis, and everybody else ain't going to really move the needle. I mean, Uga's face still broke. I would entertain that fight. I'm not sure if it would be worthy of pay-per-view. I don't know. But then again, if they, I don't know, because if they do him versus Lara on pay-per-view, by the way, Mikey Garcia is retired, so he's got to get out the rankings. So yeah, why not Lara? You know, at a catch weight of maybe 155 or something. I think 155 would be the weight they would pursue that fight at.